Hello, I'm Jim Frazer, Vice President of Smart Cities here at ARC Advisory Group. I'm very happy today to be joined by Garrett Keegan, Head of Account Executives at Braincube, as well as Becky Brown, Vice President of Marketing. Welcome today. How are you?
Thanks for having us, Jim.
Let's get started about Braincube. I know Braincube is involved in IoT, in digital twins, and a number of related applications. Can you describe the breadth of the offering and the industries it impacts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it all depends on the customer. So we have more simplistic use cases where people are really just trying to understand, I just can't access my data easily. So we can be that data enabler to really tie in the data they're already collecting. But more specifically, we're looking at the business value. So someone may come to us with a very specific use case saying, I need to do X. X could be something like improve yield, reduce improve OEE, you name it. It's really a lot of different use cases, but essentially we're trying to understand the business value that we can bring based on where the organization is at today. And we do that through structuring their data, whether it's connecting it, organizing it accordingly, or pushing it into our applications for use.
That's fascinating and is a great understanding at a high level. But let's drill down a little bit into needs. What actual real needs do your applications satisfy?
So our customers are typically coming to us for things like increasing throughput, increasing yield, understanding energy consumption on specific product lines, and we're trying to help them solve those business problems and help improve them in those specific KPIs. Those are just three examples, but it's really what is the business challenge that they're trying to solve, like OE yield, throughput, those types of things, and then us leveraging the right application to support that need.
And right, those are very shop floor focused. So in addition to helping that production line, we're looking at the enterprise data and how could someone in corporate who needs to view information like trends and plant performance, line over line, things like that, or energy KPIs, whatever the case is. What we're doing is we're building different use cases based on kind of that end persona, that end user. So just now we spoke to that production end user, but maybe we do want to have maybe a corporate manager wants to be able to see something from far away. Being able to visualize plant performance from afar is exactly what we're helping them do.
I understand those needs. How do you support the evolving needs of industry? And in fact, what are some of those evolving needs?
So from an evolving need perspective, I mean, you're looking at, like we talked about throughput and yield, a big one right now is sustainability. So whether it's looking at energy consumption, reducing that, looking at, like, if you have a boiler, understanding the CO2 emissions that are going out and helping them reduce that as well. We have a lot of customers that have wastewater within their process. We want to help them identify what are the largest contributors to the wastewater and how can they reduce that. Even things like chemical footprint. So paper manufacturing, there's specific chemicals that have to go onto a piece of paper. We want to reduce the amount of chemical that they are using to help for sustainability efforts and things like that.
That's a very substantial list of application successes. Can you drill down into perhaps two or three of those in a little more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what also, to dovetail to what Garrett said, is if you think about knowledge retention, we're consistently hearing, the labor shortage and how knowledge transfers if someone leaves the company and things like that. So yes, it comes to the use cases and it does things like increasing yield and very specific use cases. But a lot of our customers, for example, a building materials customer, started talking through, hey, we just need to understand what the settings were when that batch ran through so that we can not only replicate it time and time again, but if someone leaves or goes to another department, that we don't lose that historical knowledge. We can continue that performance. So we have that knowledge transfer, and then also looking at ways to scale it. So if we have a discovery at one plant, how do we move what we learned across the organization to impact the ROI more positively?
So your systems include not only the legacy IoT, OT data, but also capture the actual human capital knowledge as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. If I was considering implementing a Braincube system, is it an incremental approach, or am I required to do a complete facility retrofit?
The really great thing about Braincube is we're very system agnostic as well as IT architecture is not agnostic. So the reality is we engage our customers based on their level of maturity. So I'm working right now with a food and beverage manufacturer. They were very immature from a data consumption perspective. They didn't even have a lot of connectivity in their facilities. So we were able to just come in. We have some functionality and technology that allows us to quickly connect to things like PLCs, ERP systems, SCADA systems, et cetera. And they just really wanted production level data out on the production floor that they could see in real time. That's a first low level step to help them data consolidate, get that data into the right hands, the right people at the right time. And then from there, we're going to start looking at other applications. Where could we take Braincube next? Now that you have a solid understanding of your production data, what can we do with that information? How can we help actually improve that process? And so typically it's a very kind of crawl, walk, run approach, and eventually looking at things like AI and advanced analytics down the road. But start small and kind of scale from there, if that makes sense.
So, how does one, let's assume I'm a facility operator and I'd like to engage with Braincube. What are my first steps? What's my second step? How does a potential prospect engage?
Want me to take that?
Sure.
So typically they'll reach out to us and we usually have some basic knowledge capture sessions on, okay, what is the business problem that you're trying to solve as an organization? What data is available to us? What data is not available to us? And if there's data missing, we will make recommendations on what you can do from an organizational perspective to get to where you need to be. But it's really about listening to the customer, understanding what their needs are, what their business problems are, what their level of maturity is, and aligning our solutions to support that need. And we do this through knowledge, like I said, knowledge capture sessions. We call them workshops. We're on site with their SMEs and things like that, planning, kind of mapping everything out.
Stakeholder analysis
Yes.
and collection of needs and
All that fun stuff.
yes.
Yeah, but I think more generally, what we're trying to do is so often IIoT platforms or even clouds are able to give you a data lake or centralize your data, but then you still aren't necessarily able to do anything with it, or it might take a lot of effort. So what we're trying to do is streamline that process of, if you know you want to do X, how do we build a continuous data flow that gives you the information that you need? An example is someone we work with said Braincube actually changed their life. So every morning they would spend about an hour and a half pulling from their LIMS system, pulling from their MES, going into all these different areas to just be able to go to the morning meeting and say, here's what we need to focus on, here's what happened yesterday. With Braincube, it takes 3 minutes. You open up your platform, you're able to see the KPIs that matter, whether it's your production standards for the day, whether it's your yield rates, your energy consumption. So instead of just capturing data and centralizing it, we're making use of it, whether it's through, like Garrett said, data visualization or more advanced analytics to look at batch production and things like that and golden runs. But it's not just about getting the data, it's making it usable for the front line, for corporate, really across the organization.
Well, thank you very much for this very insightful discussion. Again, our guests today have been Becky Brown, Vice President of Marketing at Braincube, and Garrett Keegan, Head of Account Executives. Thank you very much for your time today, and we'll see you again.
Thanks for having us.